Austin, you need to pay attention to this 100%.
Okay. Over the GN999, you are under radar, sir. Advice level requested. For the GN999, continue climb to flight level 260.
On the
This is real horror. Helios flight 522. How a single switch killed 121 passengers.
Okay,
Austin,
there's no way.
I brought famous flight correspondent, professional flightist,
trying to post an
flighter.
Instagram story. Is this blurry? Real quick, last thing. Is this blurry?
Dude, no, it's not.
Okay.
What the fuck? Why would it? You literally have seen.
That's all I
You
need to
posted it on Twitter already.
I know. No, I haven't. Yeah, I know. I just need to make sure. SoFi Stadium.
Oh god, I have a headache already.
Okay,
Oh, my
that's
Lord.
good. That's it. That's all. I'm posting it right now. All right.
Okay, Austin, are you familiar with this flight?
Reputation, right? Not redemption. No, I'm not. But I'm ready to focus right here. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are you familiar with this flight?
No, but I'm going to speculate what happened.
What do you think happened?
I don't know yet because I don't know what
14th of
happened.
August, 2005 at 7:30 a.m. Helios Airways Flight 522, a flight scheduled to travel from Cyprus to Prague via Athens, was stuck on a loop 35,000 feet in the sky, and there had been no communication from the plane for over an hour. In a state of confusion, the Greek army sent 2 F-16 fighter jets to investigate, but as one of the pilots glanced a view inside the aircraft, they saw that disaster was about to unfold because the pilots were nowhere to be seen. They were about to witness one of the worst airplane disasters in European history.
That's strange.
And it left
Pilots were nowhere to be seen is Ghost Plane, I assume.
I think they locked themselves out of the cockpit.
That's insane.
Well, that's what I would speculate with this if the pilots weren't in the cockpit. Or they were slouched over the controls, which means that they experienced a phenomenon called hypoxia.
Yeah, no, that's why I said
the cabin
ghost
was
plane.
depressurized.
For the record, just so everybody knows, that's a ghost plane is a different layman's term for what Austin is describing, where the cabin depressurizes and if you don't have enough time, I guess, to put on your oxygen mask, which pilots actually have like a full-blown oxygen mask. They don't put it on in time, they will pass out.
Is it Reputation? I posted it. I don't want to get dragged by Taylor stands. Okay, phew, fuck. All right, sorry.
Okay, you can't look back, but okay, you have to promise me you're not gonna like constantly refresh it and get upset at the comments and whatnot.
The comments are great already. They're heart eyes.
You're gonna
They're gonna
do
be
the normal thing. You're just.
I tagged you in the picture. Could you retweet it?
I will not be retweeting it, especially not on Instagram.
Can you post it on your story? I tagged you.
I'm not going to post it on my story.
Right, fair enough.
That is insane.
All right,
that you think that I would do that.
All right, whatever.
Why would I do that?
I don't know, because you're a good friend.
I'm not a good friend. Then
I've never seen you. Come to think, I've never seen you do a story where you're like, oh my god, look at my hot gay friend.
Dude, what do you think about this?
Is Andrew Garfield? Is there like are they like?
I played basketball with him one time.
Oh yeah,
in the WeHo courts. Yeah, totally randomly.
How was that?
All right, wasn't that good? But what do you think about his form here? Is he taking a back shot or what's going on here?
He's just.
Would you top Andrew?
Would I fuck Andrew? No, he's not my type, really.
I feel like you say that a lot.
No, he's just not my type. I've got a type. It's twinks. Everybody knows that.
He could be a little twinkish. No?
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago. How old is he? 38? He's 38, isn't he? How old is he?
I don't know.
He's 40, yeah.
He's 40? God damn, bro. The Hollywood motherfuckers look so...
He looks good. He looks fucking great.
Hollywood motherfuckers look so
He looks
young.
better than I
Okay,
do.
let's get back to this, please.
Okay, here we go.
We're going to get clapped for Reactgate. And they're going to be like, they didn't react hard. And they reacted to some irrelevant shit. Get them. Get their asses. It's time to cancel them.
everyone on the ground with one question. What happened to Helios Flight 522?
They saw no pilot in the cockpit, only the co-pilot.
If they saw no pilot in the cockpit.
They said actually the FO was visible.
Banging noise. That's the cabin pressure
The story of Helios Flight 522 began at 9 p.m. on Saturday the 13th of August,
Can you give me my water?
2005, when a Boeing 737 aircraft, nicknamed Olympia, departed London Heathrow for Larnaca, Cyprus. The plane was owned by Helios Airways, a low-cost Cypriot
737-800.
airline that chartered flights
what we
between
flew, by the way.
Cyprus and the rest of Europe. The flight was, initially, fairly uneventful. But then the crew heard something strange. A loud banging noise was coming from one of the plane's doors. Upon further inspection, it also seemed that the seal around the door was frozen. Following procedure, one of the flight's crew members made a note of the incident in the aircraft cabin defect log, and when the plane landed at Larnaca Airport at 1:25 a.m. local time,
Oh, it landed?
those notes were passed
This
to
is
the
a different
captain
flight.
for review, who personally
Damn.
spoke to the
Looking
ground
good,
engineer
King.
team to
We're
ensure
ready to
a
go.
full inspection was carried out.
We are covering Helios Flight 522, how a single
sit with us
switch
and watch
killed 121 passengers. They heard a loud banging noise so far. They heard a loud banging noise. Here, pull up a chair. What is this? You don't want to watch a fucking airplane video? Is it because the shame you feel because we're looking at a 737-800 plane that that had a manufacturing error? Look at Murat's face. Look at how tan and red he is versus your face. Also, here, we'll put this in between both of you guys so you can, and then take off the noise gauge. So, yes, they can always.
So what year is this? What happened?
I mean, I already know the answer to this. I haven't watched the video, but I'm speculating there was some sort of depressurization caused hypoxia.
That's what I think too. That was my.
Somehow stretch this into a.
I mean, it's still unique, so it's understandable that they would be able to make a big ass video out of it.
And it's a 737?
Yep,
800?
Yeah, Murat, be a little bit louder, please. Unless, wait, hold on. Pull that microphone to yourself, actually. Watch out for the camera.
Yeah, I see it.
Here you go. I will unleash,
Wow, look at this.
re-enable
Look
the
at
noise
this
gate.
setup here.
Pull it to your face directly, Murat.
Yeah.
Um.
It's about to fall off the table.
Okay, just pull it closer to you. I didn't do that.
God damn, this picture's popping off. Sorry, I won't check it again.
Is that the actual stage?
No. Also, Murat, pull it closer to you. You have to speak directly into the microphone. So just uncork it, pull it closer towards you, and then speak directly into the microphone.
I'm so happy I didn't put redemption.
Why, you think you would have
I
gotten
would have gotten
clapped?
dragged so hard. My redemption era. I'm gonna get a protein shake or a protein bar. All right, you want something just over before we go eat together?
He's fine. He ate this morning. I'm telling you. I don't know why.
Have some quality time together.
I don't know why you don't believe me when I tell you these things. Builds rockets but can't work a microphone? No, he can work a microphone. What do you mean? Yeah. I like that. I was like, oh yeah, like chatters were like, we'll watch a YouTube video about a flight because that is in Austin's wheelhouse. You know, we'll get him motivated. We'll get him excited. And that was just a gigantic failure. Okay. Wait, what happened? Oh, did you? Why? What? Way too dang. Okay. Anyway, here, speak into it. Let me monitor your levels.
Speaking, 1, 2, 3.
That's not direct. Look, do you see where my mouth is in comparison to where the microphone is?
Hello.
There, you did it. That's it. Do it again.
Hello.
Okay. I know for a motherfucking fact that there's going to be moments where you talk like that.
Realize I'm not a professional streamer.
I know, but like it's a pretty basic concept. You are a brilliant person, builds space shuttles, spaceships.
I love that it changes every time.
You build rocket ships, spaceships. You can handle this. I believe in you. If Austin can handle it, you can fucking handle
Can I
it.
tell you something, Hasan?
What?
Last thing I'll say about the Instagram post. You haven't liked it yet, and you know who liked it before you?
Oh.
Stavros Halkias. My good friend stand-up international superstar.
I'm just not gonna like it.
Stavros.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it $150 with you. I'm not liking that Instagram post.
All I'm saying is, Stavros is gonna get.
What's
he's
he gonna get?
all this before you do. That's all I'm saying.
What's he gonna get? Is he gonna get the opportunity to be on your shows?
I'm a fuck Stavros. Before
Oh, okay. Oh no,
you. Yeah.
no!
I'm a fuck Stavros.
Stop!
Stabby,
Please.
baby.
Please don't fuck Stavros before me. I would hate that.
Oh. I know you're.
Okay.
I know you're jealous.
I am
Don't
jealous.
act like you're not.
All right, Murat, we're starting.
You know you want.
And
This.
when the plane
attention.
landed at Larnaca Airport at 1:25 a.m. local time, those notes were passed to the captain for review, who personally spoke to the ground engineer team to ensure a full inspection was carried out. And with that, the crew left and a full inspection began. The man in charge of the inspection was 44-year-old Alan Irwin, a well-liked and hands-on engineer from the UK who had been hired by Helios Airways on a 6-month contract.
I don't know
Following
why it's relevant
standard
that he's
operating
well-liked.
procedure for
Yeah.
a Boeing 737,
I
Alan
agree.
carried out a
Because his charisma and popularity probably allowed people to overlook
That's a good
his
point.
massive
That's a
error
really
here.
good point.
That I would assume that's the reason why they mentioned it.
cabin
Very valid
pressurization leak check to test the integrity of the door. To do this, he and his team needed to manually pressurize the plane while it was still on the ground. As part of that process, Alan switched something known as the pressurization mode selector located on the cockpit panel from auto to manual. It's
Right, go back.
important to remember that a plane
What?
Yeah, this all makes sense. All right, keep going.
Also, why would you be the one who's speaking here instead of Murat? I feel like
I probably know more about this part of the plane than you do.
I doubt.
located on the
I doubt
cockpit
it.
panel from auto to manual.
Yeah,
It's
makes sense.
important to remember that a plane's onboard pressurization system ensures that the plane is adequately oxygenated as
True.
it gains altitude. This is something that is always done automatically, but a manual option is available in order to perform on-the-ground tests.
Yes.
However, going through this process, Alan and the rest of his team were unable to recreate the problem, and so, after carrying on with other routine checks, he noted down that there were no known defects, no leaks, and no abnormal noises. Alan and the rest of his team felt that the onboard pressurization system was working just fine. This is the moment that starts off a chain of events that will seal the fate of everyone on board,
He did not
because the
switch
pressurization
it
mode
back.
selector had not been set back to auto.
No, it stayed on manual.
Mm-hmm.
Big fucking
On Sunday
problem,
the
mate.
14th of August, 2005,
Shouldn't they get a
at
cabin
3:15 a.m.
depressurization
local
warning?
time, the aircraft was released for its 6 a.m. flight to Prague via Athens. Fast forward to 5 a.m, the crew for Flight 522 arrived an hour before departure to complete a standard pre-flight briefing. Due to staff sickness, there had been some difficulty in putting together a full crew. Luckily, 2 attendants, Luisa Volterra and Andreas Prodromou, were able to fill in last minute. Initially, Andreas was reluctant to join the crew, but
You guys
would
are gonna
eventually
leave,
agree
right?
after
Yeah.
discovering that his girlfriend,
I'm gonna
also
order
a flight
Hawaiian
attendant,
barbecue.
was serving as a member of the
Sounds
cabin
good.
crew on that particular flight.
If you want, and I
The
can
four
order
flight attendant-
for us, and you eat here. But if you want to go out, I'm not going to order for you. So I'm asking right now. Would you like it?
Austin's distracted. I personally have no preference.
Murat wants to go out with me.
But hey,
Hasan,
let's go get dinner.
I have to go
Or
get.
sorry, breakfast.
I have to go. I have to go out with him
Okay.
after this video.
Okay.
You don't want to. He doesn't want to finish the video.
No, he has to sit here and answer for the crimes of Boeing.
Okay.
Attendants would join
Hey, don't-
59-year-old
I'm
Captain
kidding, I'm
Hans
kidding, I'm
Jürgen
kidding.
Merton and 51-year-old First Officer Pampos Haralambos, 2 experienced pilots with a collective 23,000 hours of flying experience between them. Together, this crew of 6 would
You're right there. You can't let a Greek man fly the plane. You know, can't be the first officer. You know, there
serve
you go.
115 passengers, around a third of whom were children. As the cabin crew were preparing for takeoff, they knew that this would be an easy and short flight with experienced pilots. But what they didn't know is that Hans was fired 3 months earlier by British airline Jet 2 for repeated failures to comply with standard procedures. In fact, nobody knows this, not even Helios themselves. because Hans' references were never asked for. On top of this, First Officer Pampos also has a record of rushing through checklists, and to make matters worse, the two pilots don't exactly see eye to eye. In fact, Pampos had complained multiple times about Hans' attitude and was actively seeking new employment. Nonetheless, as passengers began to board the plane, Pampos and Hans worked through their standard pre-flight checklist.
They don't fly together all the time.
It is here that the string of catastrophic
Maybe they do.
failures continued. Pre-flight checklists are lists of tasks that should be performed by pilots and
That's
aircrew
an actual
prior to
737
takeoff. In the
NG cockpit,
pilots will be
which is
working
shocking
through
for
multiple
these
lists
videos,
designed
actually.
to ensure that all switches and indicators are in the correct positions.
That's impressive.
But Flight 522 was slightly behind schedule, and so, as both Hans and Pampos rushed through their checklists, they both failed to register that the pressurization...
I know how to fly this. Like, if I was on the plane, I probably would have saved them.
That's true.
Honestly.
TFTI, dude. TFTI.
Yeah.
Selector was still on manual. At 6:07 a.m., 7 minutes behind schedule, the aircraft took off from Larnaca Airport. For the first few minutes, everything
pretty much
seemed
on
perfectly
schedule.
normal.
Right.
4 minutes after takeoff, at 6:11 a.m.
I'd like to comment that's an incorrect statement. Most aircraft will push back. Their pushback time is 6 a.m., but they won't actually depart for about 5 to 15 minutes after their scheduled departure, still leaving them as an on-time departure. Thank you.
Ground control cleared Flight 522 for a final cruising altitude of 34,000 feet, and the plane began its climb through the clear blue Cypriot sky. It should be said at this point that only the last few hours of
Not necessarily, no. Oh, do you fly a lot?
Available, and so much of this story has been pieced together using
Austin,
the in-flight
you
data
don't know what
recorder,
the,
on-the-ground
like, standard
recordings,
operation
and testimony,
procedure of
as well as clues
a
from
Greek
the crash
slash
site.
like
No.
What this all shows
I
is
promise
that
you,
due to the pressurization
if the
mode
departure
selector
time is 6
still being
a.m.,
set
they're
to
not
manual,
taking off at 6 a.m.
that is probably accurate.
Yes, it's almost I'm almost positive because the door has to close X amount of time before departure time. It's the pushback time.
I didn't realize we were doing...
Departure time is the pushback time.
We've officially hit a timeline where we're doing too transformative. The content has become too transformative. Your new name is Pauston. Pauston.
All right.
The cabin was not automatically pressurizing, meaning the air was getting thinner and there was increasingly less oxygen. Even though multiple indicators on the cockpit dashboard clearly showed that the altitude inside the cabin was abnormally high, for some reason neither Hans nor Pampos, two pilots with tens of thousands of hours of flight experience between them, noticed. At 12,000 feet and climbing,
pretty high.
yet another fatal
insane.
and inexplicable error was...
Okay, how did they
But
not...
also the pilots should like actually train for it.
Yeah, they're trained for it, and the warning should have been going
Maybe
off.
they were trained too hard for hypoxia. Therefore, they were like, they didn't even feel it because they were like,
they would have landed just fine.
Okay, you're right about that. God damn it. Shit.
Like they actually do get hypoxia training to
Yeah, no, I know.
To understand and recognize the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Well, I guess like the reason why it still happens all the time, regardless of the training, is not because that they're untrained, but the very nature of hypoxia is that you get a feeling of euphoria and can't really account for your condition. That is, if it hits the right point, right?
Yeah, but like two guys probably don't have the exact same like point, right? Hey, this guy next to me is acting kind of sus.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wasn't there. I don't know anything about this.
They're too busy fighting, probably. It
was
seems.
made when a loud alarm started sounding in the cockpit.
That's
Because the pilots
fucking...
had missed the earlier signs that the cabin was not adequately
Are you
pressurizing.
kidding me?
They misread this loud alarm as an erroneous takeoff configuration.
What?
Oh
In
my
other words,
God.
a glitch. This was, in fact, the cabin altitude warning alarm.
Oh
While
my
the two sound
God.
exactly the same, where the alarm sounds indicates which it is, and when it sounds off in the air, it means one thing and one thing only. That there
This
is an
went off
immediate
when we
and
were in the
urgent
simulator.
issue with the cabin
Because I
pressurizing.
forgot to turn on the packs. But like, it went off in the simulator, and it's gone off in Flight Simulator multiple times. And what they're failing to tell you is on the ICAS display, it literally says in red, cabin out, in red as the alarm is going off. There's no erroneous, it literally tells you what the alarm is for. It says,
Murat, do they have that on the 737-800?
yes, look up,
I have no
look
idea.
up cabin alt ICAS 737 NG.
Maybe Austin does know more than you.
EICAS. I think it's ICAS. Is that right?
E?
EICAS.
EICAS? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because ICAS came up.
No. EICE.
EIC.
I don't know if that's the right display, but hit yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Hit enter. Oh, maybe that's the wrong display.
This one, Mark?
No, the 737.
Maybe ICAS isn't the right one.
Any of these?
What's the big screen? Is it
Oh, put on
ICAS?
her.
Wrong.
The plane was a Boeing 737-31S?
No,
No,
it was
a
not.
737-800.
Yeah, it was 800, I think. Oh. PF no, not the primary flight display. It wouldn't pop up on the What's the name of the map where the map is? The GPS map is? Isn't it the ICAS?
Isn't that the altitude? That's it.
That's just a different type of that's the max right there, I think. Oh, MFD. Look up cabin alt MFD display. No, go back.
MFD display.
Yeah.
Is that it? Pressurization? Boeing 737
Okay.
technical
There's
side?
an alert. Where would an alert come up?
Okay, you know what's funny about this? Okay, let me tell you something. Okay. Maybe it seems
That's
like
not a
it's a little
737.
bit more confusing than
No, it's
you
not.
gave these pilots
It is not.
credit.
It is not.
It was a Boeing 737 31S.
Oh.
It wasn't an 800.
Well, they put in the video, they showed an NG cockpit and they said 737-800. Oh, okay.
Remember when we gave him props for like getting it right?
Yeah,
You did.
They
Austin,
they didn't
well,
say
he didn't
they,
know. He was just
They said it was a
watching.
737. Then they showed the 737-800 manual, and they
We have
showed
reached-
a 737-800
Okay,
cockpit.
Also, officially, we've reached new levels of autism that was previously unheard of on the stream. So that's, and somehow it's you that's hitting it and not Marat. Which
Look,
is surprising.
I have no. Okay, I'm not as familiar with the 737-300 displays, but it is very similar to the NG cockpit. It's just got older, more analog instruments, and therefore they may not have got that. They don't have that same alert. They may just get the audio noise, and then they have to try to associate that.
The plane used the same sound for an alert on the ground and alert in the air for two different problems. This was identified as one of the main issues after the crash.
Okay, this makes sense. But see, in the NG, it'll tell you what that alert is for, right? That so that sound
they fixed
that
it.
go when you take off and you're not configured for takeoff, that sound will also sound, but it'll tell you on the screen what it's sounding for.
Mm-hmm.
That sound is also the same sound that you get when the cabin is depressurized.
That's what the video said. If you were paying attention, you would have noticed that.
And that oxygen masks should be worn immediately. Neither Hans nor Pampos did this. Instead, at 6:14 a.m., Hans made a call down to the Helios dispatcher on the ground. At first, he mentioned the erroneous takeoff configuration warning, which was sounding in the cockpit. This confused the dispatcher because a takeoff configuration alarm cannot sound at 12,000 feet in the air.
Yeah,
and
that's-
so
that's-
he
that's a
handed the
good-
call
that's
over
it.
to Alan Irwin, the on-duty ground engineer who had performed the plane's inspection earlier on in the day. But things became even stranger when the captain began to radio down about a ventilation cooling system error. He stated that, quote, the ventilation cooling fan lights were off. Then, moments later, he directly contradicted himself. To Alan, who was listening in on the ground, the conversation was as confusing as it was bizarre. But perhaps, Alan
Don't show
thought,
anything.
Hans is confusing two lights that sit closely together, and it was at this point that he asked the captain about the pressurization mode selector.
Listen, I'm no big city lawyer, but I feel like if a bunch of lights are fucking on, I'm gonna assume that there's some serious issues happening. I feel like you don't ever want to hear when you're literally flying a fucking plane.
The degree of negligence is insane here. Like, it's unfathomable how these pilots continued to climb and not descend. It is unfathomable because as a rookie pilot in me, I would have been able to recognize this immediately. Immediately.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
I played Flight Simulator, and I know that alert. When you hit that alert, as you're climbing, that's a cabin altitude alarm. 100%. I've hit it. If you watch Housecord streams, I've hit that many times.
You also hit the top of the hour many times as well.
That's true.
Which comes at the top of every hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub.
I gotta go eat.
Wait, what?
We gotta go eat.
Bro, you can't just like...
He's gonna kill me.
You can't literally...
Look at him. He's gonna kill me. Look at his eyes.
No, he does not. I know my brother very well.
He just looked at his clock and then glared at me.
No, he just didn't
He
want
said
to...
top of the hour. It's
Oh, okay. All right. So you think he's okay with watching the video and then going?
100%. I will know
Okay.
Austin,
the moment that he's uncomfortable.
you're obviously hungry. Just order food.
No. I want to go eat with you. I want to spend time with you without being on my phone. And you're driving, right? Because I can't drive. That's for sure. Cool.
That's crazy.
To which he
I feel
received
like this is an
no
elaborate
reply.
scheme for Austin to get dropped off somewhere.
That's not the case.
Alan didn't realise it at the time, but Hans was behaving strangely because he and his co-pilot were both suffering from rapid onset hypoxia.
Oh,
a
maybe
condition
that's why
whereby
they
the
were
body
like,
is deprived of oxygen.
YOLO.
The effects of hypoxia on the human body are strange.
I'll be honest.
At first,
What?
the
This is
vision
one of the
worsens
dumbest
slightly,
fucking
and then
accidents.
confusion
The most,
and
like,
disorientation begin to set
Stupid
in.
accidents that should have never fucking happened. Just so insane that this has happened.
Wait, so the guy on the ground asked, "Hey, like, can you check to make sure it's on auto?" And then never found out what happened.
Well,
I think at that point they're in hypoxia, so they're probably not even like responding. What can you do in that situation?
Put on
Descend.
your mask
and put on and descend quickly.
No, I'm saying what can the guys on the ground do? Because if they're not
Yell at him
responding at that
to
point,
put on the mask
Yeah,
and descend.
if they're not responding though, it's too late, right?
Yeah, they're dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're unconscious.
Quickly followed by a lack of coordination, and then a mood change, which for some can be extreme irritability, and for some, euphoria. What is particularly terrifying about hypoxia is that one of the symptoms can be a disassociation from the self, meaning sometimes people cannot truly grasp what is happening to them. Because Hans and Pampos did not immediately put on their oxygen masks in response to the alarm, at 15,000 feet and climbing, these symptoms were coming on very quickly. And as they set in, a warning light, known as the master caution light, came on to indicate that masks had now dropped inside the passenger cabin. Those masks were able to distribute approximately 12 minutes of oxygen per person, more than enough for a plane to descend to a safe and breathable altitude. This was yet another warning that something was wrong with the cabin pressurization system.
That's really fucked up because that means that those people, the pilots had no idea what the fuck was going on. But those people that had the oxygen masks for all 12 of those minutes at the very least were completely aware of the situation, freaking the fuck out inside of this
As
goddamn
the plane
tin
was just
can.
climbing on autopilot.
Yeah. I never realized there's a limit to the oxygen.
Yeah.
Pilots on the other hand do not have a obviously they have a limit to their oxygen as well, but it's
So
much larger, right?
The gas masks that the pilots are using have oxygen tanks associated with them.
Mm-hmm. They're
Yeah.
independent.
The passenger ones that drop down have a solid chemical that when you pull, it triggers it and starts a chemical reaction, and that generates oxygen as a byproduct, and that's what you're actually breathing.
Yeah.
And that's finite. I mean, it runs out after whatever
12 minutes, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's not news to me.
To be fair, though, yeah, they might have already lost. A bunch of them probably lost consciousness before the oxygen mask dropped, right? Or does it automatically?
I mean, I would assume those.
That one drops automatically, right? As soon as the cabin pressure, or is it because that's not manual?
No, it's automatic.
So I assume they weren't losing consciousness yet.
Once the cabin depressurizes it to a certain amount, it triggers them and they drop.
Yeah, which is odd. Wait, so why would
I've been in an airplane where the masks dropped and I had supplemental oxygen. Like, we knew that ahead of time, but like, it's not that bad. You don't need to be on it when it drops.
Wait, were you guys testing something?
I was taking a delivery flight of a 737-900ER for Turkish Airlines.
And they just dropped them on purpose?
Yeah, you put like lockouts on them, and then
Okay.
you like test the system. It's a test flight.
Oh, it's a test flight. I didn't know they tested those on the delivery flight.
Well, they depressurized the cabin.
It's all good though, because they had kurban. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Can I talk about that part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
Apronda deve.
Okay. So I've told you guys.
Google it. You can show pictures.
I've told you guys this before, but in Turkey, we have Kurban Bayramı, which is where you sacrifice an animal, right? And it's supposed to be like it's a big thing. And Turkish Airlines will also sacrifice an animal before they purchase how you explain it?
Okay, so Google Apronda deve. Second picture.
Wait, there's a video of it.
It's bloody. Is that going to be a problem?
No, it's fine.
Deve kestirerek kutlatan Şükrücan aylar sonra ilk kez bugün
Did you meet
kameralar
this guy?
karşısındaydı.
No, but I
Süre
was
içerisinde
there
Şükrücan'da
like
pek bir şey
immediately after.
değişmemişti. Bir tek başkan vekili titri elinden alınmıştı Can'ın. Sitesi sahibine hakaret davası
So
açan
stop right here.
Şükrücan,
So that airplane that they're showing is one of the Royal Jets. That's like the brand of the aircraft.
Mhm.
And they were a nightmare to maintain apparently. So to celebrate the last one's lease like ending and departure, they brought a camel in to sacrifice.
And a camel is
There's like tiers, right?
there's tiers of sacrifice. Yeah, like
It's like this what you do when you sacrifice an animal, it's like culturally normal. You'll obviously feed your family, but you also donate it to like less fortunate, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like a communal giving too.
yeah.
I know it sounds a little brash, especially in like Western cultures, but that's pretty common.
Yeah.
And you can have like different tiers of animals, right? Like a goat or a lamb is relatively small. It could probably feed a couple of families. Like that's pretty standard. And then like the camel is the biggest animal. Right?
Yeah,
So
the
that's, like,
camel
top
tier is the highest tier. Unless there's like some real freaks out there that
Like
like
elephant or
they
something?
yeah
I
that
don't know.
like sacrifice an elephant or something. How can you even kurbanın bir de özel kesim şeyi var yani.
Yeah. You like
You have to kill
blindfold
the
them.
animal. Yeah, you have to blindfold the animal. You have to kill the animal with like one swift
I think they like
Cut of the
blindfold it and then like
blade?
cut one of the main arteries.
yeah, so
they,
like
they can't taint the meat, and like you also like you say some kind of prayer while you're doing it. I'm
yeah,
not
so
sure.
I don't
wanna
even know you
mislead
can do
people,
that
but
for an elephant.
I have no idea.
Yeah. That's halal and I think kosher as well. It's a very specific method.
So Istanbul.
Why can't they
Atatürk
do like
Airport-
lethal injection or something?
No,
No,
come on. It's a religious sacrifice.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You can't do a lethal injection. Also, you'd be tainting. You would literally be tainting the meat.
Yeah, you want to like say prayers to them as you like bleed them out. Like what?
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, they did this for the plane with a camel.
Yeah, they brought a camel to the tarmac, the apron, and they like. There's like actual pictures of like the blood running through like the taxiways.
Oh,
That's so fucking.
they sacrificed it on the plane.
No, next to the plane, like on the tarmac.
Çeşitli konularda yazdı. En sonundaki yazısı hepimizin ortak değerine hakaret idi yani. Artık dayanılacak
Is this
hale
the news
almadı.
from it?
Yeah.
Şükrücan mahkemeye verdiği
Yeah, that's the
dilekçede
airplane. That's the
başlayan
camel.
deve olayını da şöyle açıklamıştı. Çalışanlar her
That's so awesome.
So where they did this, I used to work at it. So I would go in that gate where they brought the camel in every morning, and I'd have to like bring my, your work stuff, right? Your laptop, your bag, whatever. You go through like a little security check.
It is for good
And-
luck, yes, chatter.
And I would I would bring this type of Turkish pastry, like it's a börek that's plain, and then you put powdered sugar on it.
Oh yeah.
But then, I was like, okay, I want to go bring some to my coworkers. I want to eat it there. So I would bring these like trays of börek with like these tiny little Ziploc bag with powdered sugar in it. Like put it through the security. All right, let's go.
Yeah, he was trafficking cocaine is what he's saying. All right, let's get back to the video.
But it was too late. Both pilots were now too impaired to understand what was happening, and they were unable to work through the problem logically. Instead, both pilots got distracted by the equipment cooling light, which came on because the onboard computer systems were not being cooled properly due to the inadequate pressurization. And it was this that both pilots chose to focus on in their increasingly hypoxic state. Hans believed that it could be fixed by a system reset, and down on the ground, Alan, still baffled, continued to ask Hans about the pressurization mode selector. Hans ignored him and demanded to know where the circuit cooling breakers were, to which Alan replied, "Behind your seat." 13 minutes after the flight took off, at 6:20 a.m, the line went silent. And Alan, confused but satisfied that he had answered all of the captain's questions, went home. At this point, passengers inside the cabin would have only had a few minutes of oxygen left. We can never know what happened in that cabin, but we can reasonably assume that there would have been panic and confusion. Following procedure, the cabin crew would have been seated, waiting for the pilots to perform an emergency descent to a safe altitude. Instead, the plane was on autopilot and was continuing its climb to 34,000 feet. All the while, the cabin crew would have been aware that the masks were fast running out of oxygen.
We know what
As
happened.
the passengers and the crew were struggling in their last moments of consciousness, at 6:29 a.m, the Helios dispatcher who initially took the call from Hans contacted ground control at nearby Nicosia Airport. He stated that he hadn't been able to make further contact with Flight 522 for 9 minutes. The dispatcher at Nicosia Airport also failed to reach the cockpit, and at 6:36 a.m, 60 minutes after last contact, Flight 522 began to enter Athens airspace and was handed over to Athenian air control. Over the next 40 minutes, the air control centre team at Athens and several planes in the vicinity attempted and failed to make contact.
Is it too dangerous to have like some kind of mechanism that wait, I guess that's what the problem
Would
was
descend
with
the
Max.
plane on its own? Does the Airbus do that?
I don't know, but it definitely have its own complications, right? Everything's subject to failure.
Like I feel like ghost planes is one of those instances that happens more frequently than you would expect. Like this kind of situation. I mean, it's like
Wasn't
there's
there
so
one
many
very recently that happened over the United States, a private jet.
Well, that
Yeah.
yeah, but that's like that's a little bit different. I feel like because it's you know.
I also
they're-
don't know what like hypoxia looks like, where even if you brought it back to altitude, like because the airplane's going to run out of fuel and it's going to lower itself, right? But even if you do supply, oxygen at that point, are they able to wake up and take control of the situation, or it's like you're out of oxygen?
And you're dead.
Yeah.
I think you would probably slowly come back to consciousness.
I mean,
But the idea what's confusing is why the situation that happened recently. I don't know what sort of alerts that plane has to make the pilots aware of their hypoxic state or whatnot.
people are saying after 3 minutes of hypoxia you die. And then someone else said 20 minutes. I don't know what the exact number is, but
And I'm sure it depends on who you are, like as far as your physique and your condition.
yeah, I mean, if you don't have any oxygen, you die. I know, but I'm
Well,
saying
you don't
like
have no oxygen above 10,000 feet, right? There's low oxygen levels due to the pressure of the air, but there is still oxygen there. That also is a variable, right?
yeah, I'm just saying that shouldn't there be automatic systems that set in place where if there's no contact for an extended amount of time, probably like the 13-minute, I guess, window or 12-minute window that like automatically starts descending down to a altitude where there is actually breathable oxygen, and then there's more hope for recovery at that point.
So the philosophy behind design of aircraft actually, or control of aircraft, vary between Boeing and Airbus. And Austin, we'll talk about this a little bit too, where Airbus tries to put a lot more automation in, where Boeing is a lot more manual, right? Boeing says the pilot, and that's my opinion, not Boeing's, obviously. The pilot is trained, the pilot is all knowing, the pilot can command this aircraft to do whatever it needs to, right? So you can have multiple issues. I'm not familiar that much with aircraft like control systems, but I can imagine a world where you're at elevation and you have a fuel issue or an engine out issue that now you have to glide, but also you have a pressure issue, right? Now you're trying to trade different failure modes and trying to get as much out of that aircraft as you can, and that's up to the pilot and the pilot's skill to make that a successful landing. But if you have the airplane overriding the pilot, that's a bad thing.
I think in both Airbus and Boeing, in a cabin depressurization situation, the procedure is pretty similar.
Like the pilots have procedures to follow. When that warning comes up, it's not like your car.
Yeah, I mean,
like, there's a check engine. Let me just do whatever.
This is a failure on behalf of the pilots for sure. I mean, they fucked up on numerous occasions. Obviously, there's like redundancies there, but even after all things considered, I feel like it would. I don't know.
The idea is that the failure should have been recognized, and then you would have descended quick enough where you wouldn't have even
or just
experienced these symptoms.
It doesn't matter that everyone in the back might pass out, right? I mean, obviously it does matter, but because they're gonna get their mask, you're gonna go down the.
You bring the sunshine, all right now. Feel it now, yeah. You bring the sunshine, all right now.
To elevation, it's gonna be okay. But like the pilots are the critical point.
And they were the only
I
ones that
wonder-
weren't using their masks.
Can we do like what if there was like a drone that could just like fly on top of the plane and then get in?
Was it the movie Air Force One where they use like a F-117 to like go underneath and like attach to it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But you have fueling systems, right? You have like
Aerial refueling?
yeah, air refueling systems in a similar capacity. Why don't they have like
I mean, you have data connection to the aircraft if you have modern.
that's what I mean.
systems,
Like, why don't
right?
they just fly a drone on top of the
Why do you
cockpit?
need to do that? You can
You could just
hook up to
simply
it with
just, or
satellite.
you can just follow the procedure and descend.
Well, yeah, that's step number one. But
By the way, what I'm saying is,
And they wouldn't be
what
able
I'm
to.
saying
they
is
wouldn't
not
be able
that
to
insane.
No, they wouldn't be able to scramble something quick enough.
Why do you need a drone? Is the point we're making? It's like you already have a connection to the space to the aircraft.
Oh, so you're saying you can actually technically via satellite control an airplane?
If it's designed to do that, sure.
But I feel like that is actually way less safe because then that could be hacked or something like that. Then it's like
whatever, right? The whole idea is the pilot is
That's why I said
the person who's there for responsibility, right? The failure system is the pilot. When the light goes on, it's telling the pilot, hey, something's wrong.
I know. I'm saying it would be less susceptible to tampering if you could bring a very specific type of drone that manually connects immediately to the interface, no latency whatsoever, and can
One, how are
assume
you connecting
control.
to the drone? Two, where is this drone coming from? Three, like
Launch it.
what's the method of communication between the drone and the aircraft? When, let's say you were using like just one of the regular drones, right? One, how would you even connect? You're gonna have to do it wirelessly. Two,
No,
that
you-
drone
you-
itself is
You fly.
commanded.
Okay. Here's
you
what you do.
controlling the
You already have multiple. Depending on what country it's flying over, you already have like F-16s. You bring something that can deploy a drone, and then the co-pilot on the F-16 or whichever plane it is the one who's basically utilizing the drone. So in order to eliminate latency, so
I think you're missing the point.
What are we trying to do here, folks? I just think that it boils down to the pilot not descending the plane when they were supposed to.
When they had the opportunity to.
This is baby shit.
I mean, I'm not gonna speak ill of
the dead.
Yeah.
No,
The
it's
Boeing
baby.
737 Max had a
Look,
system
I'm
that
not
could alter
speaking
the
ill
height
of the
ship.
dead, but I'd tell them when they're alive it's baby shit.
Yeah, the Boeing 737 Max's software failure caused the planes to fall. That was like an automatic.
But that was a system that was designed to prevent the plane from stalling.
It overrode the pilot's input is the point.
Yes, and the Airbus has something similar. You cannot stall an Airbus. I mean, you can, but then the plane will automatically take over for you.
Damn, dude. I used to say if it's not Boeing, I'm not going. But you're making an argument for that.
No. I think that
for the Frenchman over here.
I think that my opinion is that Boeing pilots generally are more skilled. I think that I don't think that it's arguable. Airbuses are easier to fly. Like actually physically fly them. They're easier. Because the plane is... You can't comment on this.
Over 30 calls were made across multiple frequencies. There was...
Can you ask them why don't pilots just wear masks for the full flight? Cost. And also, it would be a nuisance.
I mean, like, don't forget, these guys are flying, thousands of hours
Yeah.
a year, right?
You would... Dude, that would be really fucked up. Imagine.
Hell no, brother.
Dude, think about it. You're doing...
Like,
have you ever done a 14...
Wear helmets to take the mask off.
Yeah. Have you ever done a fucking 14-hour flight, chatter? Like, can you imagine the pilot also having to wear a goddamn oxygen mask the entire time?
Remember during COVID when they were trying to make people wear just a mask and people were freaking out?
Yeah, there's no shot that would be sustainable. No one would do that. Nurses were wearing N95s. Yeah, this is not an N95, okay? This is like also
supplemental oxygen.
Yeah, this is literally not just an N95. This is straight up.
It's like wearing a scuba
yeah. Nuisance versus death, I guess. Well, at that point you have to also make a cost benefit analysis, and it's like given how most pilots are all pilots are trained on this, and most pilots don't fuck this up, that would basically be an over the top redundancy. Bro, a pilot announced that masks aren't required anymore for a flight, and you can tell he's so excited saying that. Yeah, I know. That's the other part. Some of them are hogs too. YouTube pilots wear a mask for 12 plus hours.
Yeah, how many YouTube pilots are there?
I was gonna say, did you just compare that to commercial commercial jet pilots? Like that's insane. Yeah, astronauts, dude. Yeah, how about that? Oh,
actually, astronauts take their helmets off too.
Yeah, but not while they're fucking, not while they're getting out of orbit.
I thought you said YouTube pilots.
So when they're during launch and reentry, they're wearing it, and I think they're during like EVA, right? Wearing it, but not when they're floating around in the ice.
And the masks that they have in the cockpit are super fucking suffocating.
Yeah, so when you
whereas an astronaut helmet is not as suffocating.
Well, kind of,
right? I mean,
the mask that you have in there in the cockpit, those two little red tabs they press.
Yep.
It inflates that go around the entire helmet head, and when you release it, it'll suck the mask into your face.
Yeah.
Because you want one size mask to fit anybody, right? So it's not made for comfort.
Survival.
This is what they wear, by the way.
I've put them on before.
Survival.
They're not very comfortable.
You worn a YouTube pilot suit?
No, I've worn an oxygen mask in the pilot oxygen mask.
This is, bro. This is my pilot dog. He's going up there, dude.
The U-2 plane is pressurized. However, to ensure the safety and security
Austin's
of the
the
pilots,
king of useless information. How about the information that I'm currently fucking your mom right now at this moment?
Damn, Austin is straight. He just came out as straight
fucking
just to fuck
your mother
your mom.
at this moment.
Just to fuck your mom.
How about that for useless information, you son of a bitch?
From a mold, but thanks to the advance of technology, the making scans and 3D anthropometric are utilized. The suit also complemented with a specific helmet which is equipped with a tube connected to the feeding port in order to feed the pilot and help them stay hydrated.
Truffle macaroni and cheese? Caution, do not use if tube is swollen.
Oof. Does that mean it's rotten?
I have no idea, probably.
Yeah. Steve MRE 1984 would tank that, though. He'd be like, I don't give a nice. I don't care. Is it also hard to just the oxygen mask? Like, you have to train for it, right?
Yes,
like,
wear it.
You use the oxygen mask at all times.
Right?
Like, yeah, look this guy's training for
before the takeoff. This is principally to remove the nitrogen in the blood in order to reduce the risk of sickness made possible by decompression.
Yeah, every pilot, dude, simple. Every pilot has to.
A lot more common, application of this is with scuba diving. and because like instead of low pressure, you're going high pressure under the water levels, right? So the pressure of the air that you're breathing and the concentration of the different chemicals in it changes, right? And like there's different things you can do, like they purge all the nitrogen out of your system in case that there is an emergency situation, like that delta rush doesn't like knock you out or whatever. But I mean, these are super complicated things that you can't just like account for by wearing a mask all the time.
Yeah.
Also,
Makes
like
total sense.
imagine you have to carry that amount of pressurized air with you all the time. That'd be insane too.
Every chatter with a CPAP for apnea is basically a YouTube pilot. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's get back to this video.
Of course, radio silence. Flight 522 still looked as if it was operating as normal.
Oh, he did eat
leaving
it.
teams on the ground to theorize that there was an issue with the onboard radio system. At 7:20 a.m., Flight 522 began what looked like a standard approach procedure, but air control watched on in utter astoundment as the plane began to slowly turn back around in the same direction.
I already said pilots have to train, but you don't read woman chats. Wait, first of all, Alaska Airlines, Andy, I did read all of your chats. You were talking about pilots having to be trained for hypoxia training, which we also covered. Maybe your misinjury is showing, okay? Maybe perhaps your misinjury caused you. First of all, never accuse me of not reading a chat because I read everything. So that's number one. Number two, we did cover it. We already had talked about it. That's why I didn't mention it again. So perhaps misinjury is when women do misogyny. Well, not misogyny, misinjury, like misogyny, but the other way around. It's okay. I'm fucking around.
Hungry.
That it came, entering what is known as an automated holding pattern as part of its missed approach procedure over the Greek island of Kea.
Oh, interesting.
And it was here that Flight 522 stayed, flying around on a repeated loop. At this point, teams on the ground knew that something was desperately wrong. By 8:23 a.m.,
I don't understand how there's literally no circumstance where it just like automatically triggers like a water landing or something.
But okay, water landing is insanely dangerous.
It's
Okay.
also insanely difficult.
There's no way a plane can just fucking land itself, right? On a regular airport tarmac.
Yeah, of course. They do it all the time. But they had to be programmed that way.
Okay.
There's a lot of different, like, one, we need to be comfortable enough as a society with airplanes landing themselves without pilots. Right, that's a huge one. Two, the aircraft has to be equipped with that equipment, which, I mean, back in 2005 case, right?
Airplane technologies increased that much since 2005?
No.
Well, you're talking about an airplane that was designed in, like, I don't know, the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm shocked.
I would say this. I bet the technology has probably increased dramatically since 2005, but our comfort with it has not. So we're the same comfort level. So the design and functionality of these planes are the same as they were.
I love
in
people saying,
2005.
okay, why trains? Dog, it literally flew out of
from an island
Cyprus.
to an
Like, this is the one circumstance where it's like what you're describing is like not physically impossible, but would be incredibly costly and not really all that worth it regardless. There's also a lot of political issues with that as well.
But planes auto land all the time. They just have pilots that are putting in the
Like, they're
inputs,
configuring it, yeah.
configuring the auto land and everything. They're monitoring the plane, and they have to initiate like the process.
But the airport has to be, like, equipped for it. The airplane has to be equipped for it. The conditions have to be right. The airplane has to be in good shape.
But the I think all commercial airliners are, for the most part, are all equipped with this auto land technology. And pretty much all major airports too. So like if you sit up close enough to the cockpit, you'll hear the autopilot disconnect on final approach. Most of the time they're not flying it fully visual.
By the way, people keep saying trains remain undefeated, but, like, trains have accidents all the time, right?
So you'll hear this. Hold on. If you're sitting close enough to the cockpit in a plane, listen for this on a Boeing. It'll sound like this.
it'll sound like Expedia.
No, hold on. Sorry, I'm just getting. No, I'm getting an ad. It's fire. Oh, that's Airbus. This is Airbus. So you hear in an Airbus, you hear this. That's the autopilot disconnecting. So you hear that, and an Airbus, and then a Boeing is like, okay. That's Boeing. Yeah. Big.
Lapdog. Okay, Kaya, talk.
Boom. 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 Does smell good.
Kaya stream.
Ow.
You guys is on pause.
Oh, I wasn't sure that we had that authority.
Yeah, of course you have the authority.
Damn, we could have gotten through like 5
Elevated
minutes
to
of this
alert.
fucking video.
The Hellenic Air
No,
Force
you
had
couldn't
been
have,
contacted,
because
and two
not with
F-16
your
fighter aircraft
not with
were
your
dispatched.
reactions.
Just
Okay.
9 minutes later,
Are you kidding
at
me?
8:32 a.m., the two F-16 pilots described the disaster that
Hey,
was
what do you
about
think
to
about this?
unfold before everyone's eyes. Teams on the ground listened in horror as they were told that First Officer Pampos Haralambos was slumped over the control panel and Captain Hans-Jürgen Merton was nowhere to be seen. Later, they would find out that he had passed out, searching for the switch behind his seat. No one was flying that plane. The two F-16 pilots went on to describe how all passengers were sat completely motionless, with their oxygen masks dangling uselessly above them.
I saw two passengers on the left side of the aircraft. They were
so
sat
devastating.
motionless in their seats and were wearing oxygen masks on their faces. That's when I saw additional oxygen masks dangling from the passengers' overhead units. Even though the passenger cabin was dark, I could see the shadow of the oxygen hoses and masks against the daylight shining through the windows on the other side of the passenger cabin.
Oof.
The emergency level was now set to the highest possible as rescue teams on the ground attempted to make sense of this horrifying new information. And then, at 8:49 a.m.,
Also,
during
that
the
plane
plane's
didn't have
10th
winglets.
holding
I don't know
pattern,
why. See,
the
this now
F-16
this is
pilot
doing what every
observed
video
someone
does.
slowly making their way to the cockpit. The person put on a pair of headphones and placed their hand on the controls in front of them. But just 1 minute later, the left engine stopped working due to fuel deprivation, and the plane, all of a sudden,
Wait, what?
began
Wait.
to rapidly descend.
What?
The following conversation is recorded between the two F-16 pilots.
Wait. What do you mean?
Wait, what? Wait,
What happened? There's like a guy that just somehow tanked it? What the fuck?
At 8:49 a.m., during the plane's 10th holding pattern, the F-16 pilot observed someone slowly making their way to the cockpit. The person put on a pair of headphones and placed their hand on the controls in front of them.
No
But just 1
fucking
minute
way.
later, the
No
left engine
fucking
stopped
way.
working.
I don't believe it.
How would they have tanked that level of oxygen deprivation?
No way. That late in the no way. There's
Like-
no way.
So they fucking...
There's
so
no way somebody just
It was one of the
woke up.
flight attendants. They had an oxygen tank.
Oh.
Oh, cabin crew gets an oxygen tank?
Maybe, I don't know. But why did they wait so long? An hour and a half.
Maybe they couldn't get the door open. This is post 9/11. So the door was like ballistic and they finally broke it open after like...
I don't think you can break
I don't think
it.
you can break a ballistic door with on the flight.
But don't they have the code?
Now they do, but maybe then, I don't know. It's like a small airline. I don't know their procedures.
Yeah, but it's also foreign. They might not have
I know
gotten the
a lot of U.S. airlines, the lead flight attendant has a key to the cockpit.
If they have a key, why didn't they start it
They
beforehand?
said they explain if you watch the video.
Oh, they explain it? Okay.
Wait, what do you mean?
due to fuel deprivation, and the plane, all of a sudden, began to rapidly descend. The following conversation is recorded between the two F-16 pilots and the rescue teams on the ground.
Flight attendant.
It's at this point that they realise that the person in the cockpit is Andreas Prodromou, one of the flight attendants who agreed to fill in for a sick colleague at the last moment. Andreas, investigators would later find out, was a qualified pilot, and it appeared that he was controlling the plane, but he had no training on a Boeing 737, and the plane was now rapidly losing altitude at a rate of around 1,500 feet per minute. The F-16 pilots desperately tried to make visual contact, but Andreas was not responding.
The reality
So he was
is-
alive.
Yeah, but at that point,
Plane had no fuel.
At that point, not only did the plane had no fuel, but even if he successfully landed, everyone would be dead, right?
Except him.
I have no idea.
Yeah, he would.
Dude, it would have been an hour without fucking oxygen. They would have all died. Every single passenger at that situation would have
God,
literally
what an
survived.
eerie sight. That, like, if he survived,
He would have survived, but everybody else
But
would have
also, like,
what a weird. Oh man.
I'm sure if it was just regular conditions, landing a plane that you're not familiar with must be hard enough. And then coming out of hypoxia.
Yeah, I would have been able to do it, but
yeah. No, you
Okay,
wouldn't.
Austin.
I would have been able to land
Instead,
that plane.
the
I
words,
promise you, I could land
Mayday,
that plane.
Mayday, Mayday. This is Helios.
Intelligent. People get incredibly confused within seconds of hypoxia. It happened with a lot of my COVID patients. They'd often tear their O2 BiPAP mask off in confusion and sometimes collapse, just die from just that. The pilots would be dead probably even if you could control it remotely. Their hearts are going to stop. What do you have to say to that, Austin?
Austin's like,
I would have had
It's a
oxygen.
resident
I'm
nurse.
if I would have had oxygen on me.
No, I'm saying like if you have hypoxia.
Oh no, I would have fought through the symptoms.
Oh, okay.
Helios Airways Flight 522 was weakly spoken into the cockpit radio, which was set to the wrong frequency. These recordings would later be recovered from the crash site, but as the plane was going down, Andreas was speaking into the void.
Think rate. Think rate. Terrain.
Oof.
Think rate. Think rate. Terrain.
At 8:59 a.m., the right engine on the plane gave out. At this point, Andreas looked directly at the F-16 pilot, slowly lifted his hand, and weakly pointed downwards.
Τη στιγμή δείχνει ο άνθρωπος που κάθεται στο θάλαμο διακυβέρνησης ότι με βλέπει. Ελήφθη.
Don't they still? I mean, I guess if he was proficient in this specific plane, and if he was,
How did he figure out? How did he get in the cockpit, and why did it take him so long?
all things considered, if he knew how to land this specific plane, one engine failure due to having no fuel does
Well,
not
it's
mean
not-
you can't land the plane.
Yeah, but this was the both of them were flaming out because they were just the other one was going to flame out too.
Can't you literally land a plane with both of the engines? Even if both of the engines have failed, due
Sure,
to
if you're self-conscious and
that's what I mean. But like,
Yeah, I mean, I could've
that's
done
the
it.
problem. There is that at that point,
That's what I would have done, but
if he was trained on this specific plane, he would have been able to actually just glide down.
I mean it's possible, and I would have done it, but
Aren't pilots-
It's difficult.
No, in order to become a commercial airline pilot, don't you literally need to?
Yeah, but
like know how to glide.
but it's not always possible.
Within a certain range and all this other stuff, right? And there
Yeah.
are checklists in place, but if you have no familiarity with the aircraft, you're just staring at a bunch of
Yeah,
buttons.
it's very unlikely that he would have been able to land the plane.
Κάνω τα σήματα αναχέτησης, δεν ανταποκρίνεται, με οπτικό σήμα διαχειρός έδειξε ότι με βλέπει. Ελήφθη. Συνεχίζει τα περάσει 7.000 το αεροσκάφος. Ποστών αρνητικών στα 5.000 πόδια με πορεία 2.18.
The plane's descent was happening so quickly that the teams on the ground were struggling to keep up.
1,500 feet per minute.
2.500 πόδια, πετάει πολύ χαμηλά πάνω από ξηρά.
Altitude. Altitude.
Μάμπο, αυτή τη στιγμή το αεροσκάφος δείχνει ότι πάει για το έδαφος.
Altitude.
Τύχη Μάμπο, το αεροσκάφος πάει προς το έδαφος. Πολύψη. Αθήνα, το αεροσκάφος αυτή τη στιγμή πάει για το έδαφος.
Altitude.
103 μίλια.
Altitude.
Mayday, Μάμπο, έχουμε πρόσκρουση πολιτικού αεροσκάφους. Έχουμε πρόσκρουση πολιτικού αεροσκάφους. Mayday. Πολύψη. Σας αναφέρω συντεταγμένες, Μάμπο. Έχει προσκρούσει σε κορφή βολού. Mayday.
Fucking son of a bitch.
At 9 hours, 3 minutes and 32 seconds, Flight 522 collided with the rolling hilly terrain just outside of Grammatico village at 400 miles per hour, causing a fireball that instantly razed several acres of land to the ground. All 121 people on board lost their lives instantly. Several were members of the same family. Some were couples who went on holiday, leaving their children with their parents. Reports would later show that most passengers were alive, but unconscious. After the wild speculation amongst the media subsided, a 186-page air accident investigation report was written. This report cited multiple failures to recognise the cabin pressurisation issues as they arose on the day, but they also revealed an ineffective and dangerous organisational culture that bent the rules beyond recognition.
Always.
In the absence of all but the last hour of the cockpit voice recorder, one question is often asked about Helios Flight 522. Why did the cabin crew not immediately enter the cockpit? And if they did, why did they not make contact with teams on the ground over the radio? This is especially puzzling considering that they had access to several hours of oxygen, as well as, clearly, the cockpit access code. Even the report itself states that it is rather puzzling. But perhaps the on-plane oxygen system can give us a clue. Because of the way the emergency oxygen system works on a plane, it's likely that the adult passengers would have run out of oxygen first. The crew had access to 4 emergency oxygen cylinders, and we know that 3 of them were used, but how and in what manner is unclear. Is it possible that some of the cabin crew may have attempted to share their masks with, say, one or several of the flight's younger passengers? If this did happen, this would have created an extremely dangerous situation, because at 34,000 feet, the effects of hypoxia set in at around 30 seconds, making the window for what is referred to as useful consciousness very short indeed. Perhaps, in order to help other passengers, the crew inadvertently incapacitated themselves.
Isn't that why they always say put your mask on first? Like, do not put your... Like, if you're on an airplane, they say put your mask on first before attending to your children.
Katsu?
Yeah. I literally gave you a 30-minute window. I asked you multiple times if you wanted to fucking eat.
Okay, now I'm hungry.
The food that I
Else
was
pissed.
All right, well, the video's over, so you guys can leave it after.
Perhaps
if you
this was
want.
done in the time that their own masks ran out
That's
on their
crazy.
way to the emergency oxygen cylinders. Or perhaps
Can't believe
Andreas
you didn't offer me any
incapacitated
food.
himself, helping his partner. These
Eating
are,
in
of
front
course,
of me
just
is so rude.
theories, because ultimately, we will never know. Helios Airways continued operations until November 2006, but sustained
Unacceptable.
massive losses and eventually went out of business.
Unacceptable.
In 2007, several families of those who died in the crash sued Boeing for €76 million. The lawyer leading the case highlighted that having the same alarm in place for 2 different types of dysfunction, one relatively minor and the other with potentially devastating consequences, was negligent. All
It's wild that was the case to begin with, to be fair. Like, that does seem insane.
parties ended up settling out of court. And then, in 2000...
Remember, that's why I always say all matter of regulation is written with blood. That's the ink that they use to set new regulations. It's blood.
2008, 4 Helios officials, including Alan Irwin, were charged with manslaughter and after a complicated legal battle with the Greek courts, were all eventually found guilty in April 2012. By
Wait,
2000
whoa.
Wait, what?
That's awesome.
Who was found guilty?
The bosses that work at the company.
Oh.
Wait a minute. That's a fat Greek W right there. I would never, dude, in the United States of America, that is an unimaginable situation. Absolutely unimaginable situation.
2013, however, Alan Irwin had successfully appealed. Other Helios officials were sentenced to 10 years, but were all ultimately able to pay their way out for €79,000.
Oh,
This
never
has
mind.
angered some.
I spoke way too fucking soon.
Oh, God.
Oh, don't you love that when you just executives had to fill a mountain of paperwork?
Feel that to this day, justice has not been served. Today, a memorial dedicated to the victims has been built on the crash site. It stands as a reminder of the lives lost in this unbelievable tragedy.
It's unacceptable.
No, one of them was the engineer that inspected the plane, not an executive. I know.
That guy probably got screwed.
All right.
Great video overall. By 2011, the FAA required that all Boeing 737 types install 2 additional warnings in the light.
See?
One for takeoff configuration, one in the cabin altitude warning. I've seen that, right? In the plane that we flew.
Yeah, but it came up as a digital display on the digital display too. Thank you, Hasan. We'll be back later.
All right. Bye, guys. Have fun.